Hare Krishna, Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, dear devotees, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Sri Prabhupada. Welcome to this morning's Srimad Bhagavatam class, which is from Canto 2, Chapter 3, and Text 19. So without further ado, I'll start the class. Hare Krishna. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Janavallabha Girivadadhari Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Girivadadhari Yashodanandana Vrajajanaranjana Yashodanandana Vrajajanaranjana Jamunatira Vanachari Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Ivadadhari Yashodanandana Vrajajanaranjana Yashodanandana Vrajajanaranjana Jamunatira Vanachari Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari 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 Jayam Vishnupad Paramhansa Privajagacharya Astottara Satsasimaris Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Shri Prabhupada Ki Jai Jayam Vishnupad Paramhansa Privajagacharya Astottara Satsasimaris Divine Grace Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय। नामाचार्य श्री हरिदास ठाकुर की जय। ISKCON founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada की जय। प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवाचार्य गौर भक्तवृंद की जय। श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड गिरि गोवर्धन की जय। वृंदावन धाम की जय। मथुरा धाम की जय। नवद्वीप धाम की जय। मथुरा धाम की जय। जगन्नाथपुरी धाम की जय। गंगा माई की जय। जमुना माई की जय। तुलसी देवी की जय। भक्ति देवी की जय। हरे कृष्ण महामंत्र की जय। सामवेद भक्त बिंद की जय। निताय गौर प्रेमानंदी हरि हरि बोल। All glories to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. All glories to the lotus feet of Sri Sri Guru and Gauranga. Glories to the Prabhupada. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prashnaya Bhutale. Srimati Bhakti Tirtha Swami Niti Namine. Namaste Krishna Padaya Prabhupada Chitatpani. Shri Gaur Karuna Shakti Bhakti Tirtha Swami. Narayana Namaskritya Naronchevam Narottamam Devim Saraswati Vyasam Tato Jayam Udirayat Nashtaprayesu Abhadresu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavatu Tamastuke Bhaktir Bhavati Naistiki Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Accept my obeisances, glory to Srila Prabhupada. So we'll do Canto 2, Chapter 3, Text 19. Swadid Vara Hoshta Kare Samstuta Purusha Pashu Nayat Kana Pato Peto Jatunama Gadagraja Swavid Varahushta Kare Samstuta Purusha Pashu Nayat Kana Pato Peto Jatunama Gadagraja Swavid Varahushta Kare Samstuta Purusha Pashu Nayat Kana Pato Pito Jatunama Gadal Braja. Hare Krishna. All right, we'll do word for word now. Swa, a dog. Vet Varaha, the village hog who eats stew. Ushtra, the camel. Kare, and by the asses. Samstuta, perfectly praised. Purusha, a person. Pashu, animal. Na, never. Yat, of him. Karna, ear. Patha, path. Upeta, Upeta, reached. Jatu, at any time. Nama, the holy name. Radagaja, Lord Krishna, the deliverer from all evils. Translation by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Men who are like dogs, hogs, camels, and asses praise those men who never listen to the transcendental pastimes of Lord Sri Krishna, the deliverer from evils. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. The general mass of people, unless they are trained systematically for a higher standard of life in spiritual values, are no better than animals. And in this verse, they have particularly been put on the level of dogs, hogs, camels, and asses. Hmm. Modern university education practically prepares one to acquire a doggish mentality with which to accept the service of a greater master. After finishing a so-called education, the so-called educated persons move like dogs from door to door with applications for some service, and mostly they are driven away, informed of no vacancy. As dogs are negligible animals and serve the master faithfully for bits of bread, a man serves a master faithfully without sufficient rewards. Persons who have no discrimination in the matter of foodstuff and who eat all sorts of rubbish are compared to hogs. Hogs are very much attached to eating stew. So stew is a kind of foodstuff for a particular type of animal. And even stones are eatables for a particular type of animal or bird. But the human being is not meant for eating everything and anything. He is meant to eat grains, vegetables, fruits, milk, sugar, etc. Animal food is not meant for the human being. For chewing solid food, the human being has a particular type of teeth meant for cutting fruits and vegetables. The human being is endowed with two canine teeth as a concession for persons who will eat animal food at any cost. It is known to everyone that one man's food is another man's poison. Human beings are expected to accept the remnants of food offered to Lord Shri Krishna, and the Lord accepts foodstuffs from the categories of leaves, flowers, fruits, etc. Bhagavad Gita, chapter 9, text 26. As prescribed in by Vedic scriptures, no animal food is offered to the Lord. No animal food is offered to the Lord. Therefore, a human being is meant to eat a particular type of food. He should not imitate animals to derive so-called vitamin values. Therefore, a person who has no discrimination in regard to eating is compared to a hog. The camel is a kind of animal that takes pleasure in eating thorns. A person who wants to enjoy family life or the worldly life of so-called enjoyment is compared to the camel. Material life is full of thorns, and so one should live only by the prescribed method of Vedic regulations just to make the best use of a bad bargain. Life in the material world is maintained by sucking one's own blood. The central point of attraction for material enjoyment is sex life. To enjoy sex life is to suck one's own blood, and there is not much more to be explained in this connection. The camel also sucks its own blood while chewing thorny twigs. The thorns the camel eats cut the tongue of the camel, and so blood begins to flow within the camel's mouth. The thorns mixed with fresh blood create a taste for the foolish camel, and so he enjoys the thorn-eating business with false pleasure. Similarly, the great business magnates, industrialists who work very hard to earn money by different ways and questionable means, eat the thorny results of their actions mixed with their own blood. Therefore, the Bhagavatam has situated these diseased fellows along with the camels. The ass is an animal who is celebrated as the greatest fool, even among the animals. The ass works very hard and carries burdens of the maximum weight without making profit for itself. The ass is generally engaged by the washerman, whose social position is not very respectable. And the special qualification of the ass is that it is very much accustomed to being kicked by the opposite sex. When the ass begs for sexual pleasure, he is kicked by the fair sex. Yet he still follows the female for such sexual pleasure. A hen-pecked man is compared, therefore, to the ass. The general mass of people work very hard, especially in the age of Kali. In this age, the human being is actually engaged in the work of an ass, carrying heavy burdens and driving trailer and rickshaws. The so-called advancement of human civilization has engaged a human being in the work of an ass. The laborers in great factories and workshops are also engaged in such burdensome work, and after working hard during the day, the poor laborer has to be again kicked by the fair sex, not only for sex enjoyment, but also for so many household affairs. So Srimad Bhagavatam's categorization of the common man without any spiritual enlightenment into the society of dogs, hogs, camels, and asses is not at all an exaggeration. The leaders of such ignorant masses of people may feel very proud of being adored by such a number of dogs and hogs, but that is not very flattering. The Bhagavatam openly declares that although a person may be a great leader of such dogs and hogs disguised as men, if he has no taste for being enlightened in the science of Krishna, such a leader is also an animal and nothing more. He may be designated as a powerful, strong animal or a big animal, but in the estimation of Srimad Bhagavatam, he is never given a place in the category of man on account of his atheistic temperament. Or in other words, such godless leaders of dogs and hog-like men are bigger animals with the qualities of animals in greater proportion. Om Ganat Vidandasya Gana Ganashalakaya Chakshu Amritam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Tapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantika Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swamini Tinamini Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Picharini Dirvishesha Sunyavari Paschatya Shatarini Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadha Shiva Shri Gaur Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare The English translation of the text again. Men who are like dogs, hogs, camels, and asses praise those men who never listen to transcendental pastimes of Lord Krishna, the deliverer from evils. So this is a direct statement that sends a message that one should not behave like an animal. But there are people in this Kali Yuga who are degraded mentally to the stage of animals. And therefore, as Bhavatam never leaves any stone untouched, talks about those kinds of people also. Men who are like dogs, hogs, camels, and asses. And Srila Prabhupada gave a very, very important lecture about this. So as I read this, I started thinking, this is actually a situation that wants or derives the title, the sad state of affairs of today. The sad state of affairs for today, in today's world, that is. People are downgraded into animals, and they behave like animals. It is very, very unfortunate, but that is in fact what is happening. We don't have to live like animals. We don't have to. But if we think about the mentality of people who live this life that we call advanced life, Hmm? Hmm. That's a situation that is actually very pathetic. But many people don't know this. It takes the Srimad Bhagavatam to open our eyes to tell us what life really is. In fact, it starts by who we are. Doesn't even start with Srimad Bhagavatam, it starts with Bhagavad Gita. As soon as Arjuna told Krishna, please be my spiritual master, I will be your disciple. Let's stop this friendship type thing because I need advice from you. That ends chapter 1. Chapter 2, Krishna begins to talk about who a person, or for that matter, a living entity is. We are not these physical bodies. Now, we are not these physical bodies. That's where the ignorance starts. That is where the ignorance starts. How many people know they're not these physical bodies? How many people know that they're not these subtle bodies, the mind? Many people have so-called tradition, customs, all of that based on the physical body. Many people discriminate one human being against another based on the physical body. So even just knowing that we're not these physical bodies is a very high level education, without a doubt. The person knows the truth, and everyone else that does not know that they're the physical body is lying to themselves because they are making decisions based on the physical body. Yet everybody knows that the physical body stops working after a while. We call it death, and everything that was accumulated gets taken away. Hmm? The physical body literally mocks us. You work hard, and then you get old, and you can't work hard anymore, and then you die, and everything that you work hard for gets taken away. And you have no say in what happens in those things. Even if you prepare a will, are you going to be around to enforce the will? How many family members get into all kinds of quarrel over what's been left by somebody that's dead that was wealthy? So this is life. This is so-called life. It's at the animal level. That is why Bhagavatam with this leaves no stone unturned, tells it like it is. Men who are like dogs, pigs, camels, donkeys, they don't like to listen to transcendental pastimes of the Lord, and they'd rather listen to people who are assuming things about life that they don't know about, which means people who are ignorant themselves, and they have a way with words so that people get impressed by the way they express themselves and praise those men who are as ignorant and as blind as ever. Spiritually, they don't know anything. They don't even know that they're not these bodies. All they know is they're going to die. Therefore, Srila Prabhupada said this. Those who don't believe in Krishna, he puts it this way. If you don't believe in, so he's taking the position like, speaking, quoting Krishna. He says, if you don't believe in me as a Supreme Personality of Godhead, then you will believe me when I come as death and take everything that you worked for away from you. This is how Srila Prabhupada says, to the atheist, dogs, hogs, camels, and asses that don't believe in Krishna, he will come as death, and he said it. Death I am, the destroyer of all things in the Bhagavad Gita. So Srila Prabhupada put it this way. I will come as death. You will believe me then. I'll take everything away from you. And it happens practically every second, practically every minute, somebody's leaving the body. And whatever that they piled up, big, small, gets taken away. People who understand that, they don't hold on to too many things. They give away in charity, and for that particular act, giving away in charity, they actually get good credits. Spiritual credits. Sometimes even if the person is just on the Kamakandi platform, they get just for that behavior and the mode of goodness, being charitable, their next life is very, very, very nice compared to other type of life. Unfortunately, it's still in the material world, but at least it's not as troublesome. It can even go to the heavenly planets. So the general mass of people, Srila Prabhupada said, unless they are trained systematically, just to understand they're not the body, this is the beginning of the highest standard of teaching. They're not the body. So if you understand that, the next thing is, if I'm not the body, then what am I? And Krishna explained it in the very next chapter, after chapter 1 in Bhagavad Gita, chapter 2. We are the souls, and then Krishna proceeds to describe the nature of the soul. The soul is antimatter. It's not material. And it cannot be even moistened. And it's certainly not even a nuclear bomb can get rid of the soul. No material, anything can destroy the soul. And the soul has the particular property of being part and parcel of the Supreme Soul. We've heard this before, and we practically take it for granted. Who at this point has heard a lot of lectures and does not know that we're not these bodies? But well over 7 billion people don't know this. Over 7 billion people don't know this. And the animals don't know this either. Therefore, the mentality of people is at the animal level. Hence this particular text. The translation being, men who are like dogs, hogs, camels, and asses, praise those men who never listen to the transcendental pastime of Lord Krishna, the deliverer from evils. The deliverer from evils. Krishna is the one who delivers. Therefore, if anybody does not want to listen to Krishna and connect with Krishna through Krishna Katha, then it means that person is steeped in negativity, in evil activity, and that person has demoniac mentality. And they're not going anywhere out of this material world. They will still sit in the jail. So Srila Prabhupada begins to talk about modern, and he puts it at the highest level of education, which is the university level. University is preparing people to get a degree and then go out looking for a job and get some money and pay the bills, and this is life. A little bit of breadcrumbs here and there we call material enjoyment. So devotees are staying away from that which we call material enjoyment. Because devotees are ones who listen to everything about the Supreme Lord Sri Krishna. Therefore, devotees are not at the dogs, hogs, camels, and asses level. Even if they do some things that seem to be what the masses of people are doing, like looking for a job and paying the bills and those kind of things. Arjuna was fighting for Krishna. Duryodhana was fighting for himself and his big ego. But the activity looked the same. Arjuna is shooting arrows, Duryodhana is shooting arrows. Basically, outwardly, it looks the same. Therefore, a devotee would go to work and a kami would go to work. It looks the same, even in the same facility. But a devotee's mind is different from that of a non-devotee. That is the difference. So the situation is that we're being pushed into that kind of life where money has become so important. Srila Prabhupada has already said that a civilization that's based on only money will not survive. Why? Because money brings the greed for money. It brings cheating, a lot of cheating. And that goes on everywhere. People have just thinking, I have to survive. Therefore, any means of which I can survive, I'll do that. So some countries, some people cheat. Some countries, some people rob. I mean, it happens in all countries, but in some countries, one part of it is more prominent than others. That's what we mean. Hmm? So we are pushed into situations of no job, and we keep applying and applying and applying. We get something, and the so-called paycheck for it is nothing at all compared to the money that the owner of the company makes. The owner of a company is talking about millions in profit. A larger company, they're talking about billions in profit. And what does a person that works hard for that company get? Not even 100,000, but they get multi-millions and billions. Do they share it with their employees? No. So actually, this is a situation that has caused Bhagavatam to describe such people as dogs. Devotees just tolerate, but they know we're getting out of here. Hmm? We're getting out of here. We get the protection of Krishna. So we go on anyway. Hmm? And then hogs, pigs, they don't discriminate as far as what they eat, even stew they'll eat. They don't discriminate in sexual activity. Family members would even be involved in sexual activity. Hmm? Hogs, Papa says, are very much attached to eating stew. There's a lot of fat in stew, and some research has been done, and some even fat has been extracted. Hmm? In the very, very difficult times, that is times of war. And Srila Prabhupada quoted this, the Germans did this in Hitler's time. They were actually extracting the fat from stew. And when they extract the fat actually doesn't smell then. There's other chemicals in there that gives that particular type of scent to stew. And they take the fat out and they were mixing it with other things and feeding the soldiers. As much of a turnoff as this statement is, Srila Prabhupada made that statement. Hmm? But the point is, when the fat comes out, you don't smell that stew smell anymore. That is true also. So it's a kind of foodstuff of a particular type of animal. Stones. Hmm? Small little rocks, as they call it here in America. We just, from Britain, we just call it stones. Small, small, small ones. Hmm? That's also a particular type of eatable for an animal or bird. So Papa says bird. Hmm? And I know of chickens to do that. They do that. They eat whatever's on, but I've seen them, and then sometimes you open the stomach of the kitchen and the chicken, and you will see it's there. All kinds of stones. I knew that as a small child. Hmm? Actually saw it. So the human being is not meant for eating anything. We're supposed to eat grains, vegetables, fruits, milk, sugar, those things that Krishna accepts. Hmm? So animal food is not meant for the human being. And this it will take some time, but it's easy, it can be proven that we're not supposed to eat animals. We don't have a tooth structure for eating animals the way that dogs and tigers and lions have. The four very prominent canine teeth. Hmm? Srila Prabhupada says the human is endowed with two canine teeth as a concession for those who will eat animal food at any cost. But even in school, when we learn where the canine teeth are, in the same literally position as those animals that eat other animals, eat animal flesh, our canine teeth is not sticking out the way it is for those animals that eat flesh. When an animal that eats flesh opens his mouth, the first thing you see that sticks out are the canine teeth that are longer and sharper. We don't have that type. Hmm? Ours, we eat, we know that we tear with the front teeth, hmm, vegetables easily, and then the back teeth do the grinding. We are meant for fruits and vegetables, hmm, and greens. So that's the food stuff for human beings. Hmm? So real advanced human beings, who actually we hope the whole world will come to, should eat remnants of food offered to Lord Krishna. And Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, chapter 9, most confidential knowledge, text 26, Patram Puspam Phalam Toyam, Yo me bhakta prayaschati. You offer me Patram Puspam Phalam Toyam, water, food, leaf. I will accept. I will accept. Hmm? Water, fruit, flower, I'll accept it. And so, also in another place in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Yat karosi, yat asnasi, I eat. Whatever you offer, do that for me as an offering. Do that for me as an offering. Whatever you eat. So do it as an offering, so you offer first. You can't eat and then say, oh, I'm offering to Krishna. Well, you already started eating. So what can you offer to Krishna then? So we offer first. Hmm? And tasting is also part of eating. Therefore, we do not taste when we cook. We offer to Krishna. Even if we're not sure about a particular ingredient that should or should not have been in, we should not be tempted to taste it. Because if we do, then we're eating before offering to Krishna. Therefore, we offer first, and then even if it needs to be adjusted with a little more salt, you can do that because it's remnants at that point. Hmm? So no animal food is offered to the Lord. And Srila Prabhupada says Krishna does not have animal food, would not accept that. If he did, then that would be the reason for devotees to eat animal food. But Krishna does not. And physically, we're also not designed, the body is not designed for animal food. Hmm? But the hog eats any kind of food, hmm, including even stew. Now, the camel was described as the type of animal that hurts itself and thinks he's in being made pleasure. I mean, he's enjoying. He hurts himself, but he's enjoying. In the eating, he likes to eat thorns, but thorns will cut anybody's tongue. Hmm? Thorns are like pins, so they will stick and they will draw blood. And the tongue in all animals are one of the delicate parts of the body in the mouth. Hmm? So the Srila Prabhupada is making a comparison. Materialistic life is full of thorns. Don't we know there is material pleasure and then material distress? All material distress is a thorny. They are thorny situations. Hmm? So one should live based on the prescribed method of Vedic regulations just to try to make use of a bad bargain. You see, the Prabhupada puts it like that. What's bad bargain? Bad bargain is the human body. With the intelligence to understand that life is troublesome, but you make the best use of it, meaning that we try to do our best in serving from our hearts. Devotees serve Guru and serve the deity so that we'll be able to, through that, pile enough spiritual credits to earn the mercy of the Lord and get out of this jail. So the body will give problems, sickness, and even finally death. But because the level of intelligence is at that point where one can understand and question life and then come to Krishna consciousness. And if we are fortunate, stay in Krishna consciousness, because some people come and say, oh, there's so much regulation and I have to do this and I have to do that. And yeah, there's austerity involved. How does a prisoner get out of jail without austerity? Hmm? Person is in prison and somebody looks in the, oh yeah, he looks like he should be put out of jail, taken out of jail. No, you have to do something to strive to impress the jail authorities that I'm not like other criminals. I intend to change and stick with that. Hmm? The better life inside the jail, and then that gives us a chance to get out. And when the jail people who are in authority, those who are in authority in the jails, tell you you do like this, and you are sure to get out, like Lord Chaitanya did, telling us to chant the Hare Krishna mantra, and you follow that because that gives us a chance to get out. That is called intelligence. That's what Prabhupada. But the Carmel is that kind of person. Life in the world is maintained by sucking one's own blood. We work against our own physical body, against time, against what the body complains about. We work anyway, hard. And we have been deceived, especially in the advanced, so-called advanced countries, that the computer makes life easier for us because it does a lot of the computation that we would have had to do. It stores a lot of information that we would have to kind of try to remember. And while those things may be true to some extent, what is hidden is just the sheer amount of work now that's been given just because the computer can do a part of it. And we find ourselves working very, very hard in front of the computers, not to mention the kind of toll that the computer takes on the physical body by all that radiation that comes from it. And we only remember that part, that as we're in front of it, it's like that. Mm? So life in the material world is, we are sucking our own blood in one sense. Mm? Srila Prabhupada talks about the central point being enjoyment of sex life. To enjoy sex life is to suck one's own blood. And people may say, how is that? Well, illicit sex life, because sex life is actually for progeny, to have children. Illicit sex life wastes one's own blood. The seminal fluid is prepared by a more disproportionate quantity of blood compared to the amount of the seminal fluid itself. In other words, it takes more blood to make a small quantity of seminal fluid. And in any illicit sexual encounter, that seminal fluid is wasted. If the woman doesn't get pregnant, where does that seminal fluid go? It's thrown away. It's thrown away. It's of no use. But the person knows that it is, in fact, for bringing progeny, for the woman to get pregnant. Therefore, the seminal fluid is wasted. The blood that was used is automatically, that was used to make it is automatically wasted also. Hmm? So the camel sucks its own blood while chewing thorny twigs. That twigs, thorns, they mix with the blood from the tongue of the camel because they cut the camel's tongue. And blood has some sweetness to it. Blood is not bitter. And so the camel foolishly thinks that he's enjoying something wonderful, not realizing that he's cutting his own blood, cutting his own tongue, and drinking the blood along with the thorns. So material life is like that. It's thorny. There are challenges. But people say, oh, I'm going to enjoy life. It is thorny. So the other day, Chanamara Swami put it quite bluntly. You want material enjoyment, you will not find it. He put it directly, said, you will not find it. Because what you're going to find is thorns. And trying to get anything material to enjoy, you're going to create a thorny situation also. It never leaves. In my own, where I was born in Ghana, they say it. in a proverb, but I won't say it in the language. I know the language, but most probably here, everybody here may not know the fancy language, so I'll just translate to English. It says, whatever that seems to be tasty, there is some bitter aspect of it that's attached. Hmm? Whatever is sweet, there is bitterness attached to it. It's like having sweet rice with some sand in it. And that's the example that's given. Who would want that? You want the sweet rice, but you can't separate the sand from it. This is material life. Hmm? So many great business magnates, they work very hard and they become weak. Hmm? Many people have to get up early. And many times, some people watch TV in the morning, early in the morning. Hmm? Early in the morning. The news comes up, they're watching the news. The person that is behind or in front of the camera announcing whatever news that is, 3 o'clock in the morning, they're up. We're already going to work. They have to get in very early. They have nice salaries, but they really pay with their bodies for that. That's why non-devotees, communists, they really adore their vacations. And boy, when they go, I get to sleep. I don't have to wake up at a certain time. Yet the waking up of a devotee, that is for worshiping Krishna. And so we also get up early, but it's to worship Krishna. So we go through that because we want to do it to worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and also metaphysically, that time is the cleanest time of the day. So we are encouraged to get up early, but we're also encouraged to go to bed early so that we get a decent number of hours of sleep to get up early during that Brahma Muhurta time. So the devotee always thinks about life in terms of what pleases Krishna. And so we do it like that. So the final description, the ass or donkey. So Papa says, even among animals, the donkey is the greatest fool. They work very hard. They carry burdens, weight in their back. And the weight are tied with string just to keep it on the back of the donkey. And the donkey struggles to move forward. All for what? A small amount of grass. And even in some cases, as is described, there is a hookup in front of the donkey that there is grass in it. The donkey looks at it and says, I just have to reach. If I take a few steps, I can get to the grass and have it. In the meantime, all around him in the fields are tons of grass that the donkey could have. But there's a small amount of grass. The donkey looks at the grass in front of him. And it's in a container hitched to the body of the donkey. Therefore, when the donkey takes a step to try to get to the grass, that contraption also moves forward. So the donkey takes a step, and I'm sorry about that. The contraption also goes forward. So the donkey says, one of these days, I'm going to get to the grass. And what is one of these days? It never comes. It never comes. And that's why Sri Prabhupada says, even among animals, a dog won't do something this stupid. And the dog is an animal. See, among animals, the ass is a celebrated greatest fool. Yashafma Budi Kunapetri Dasuke, Sadi Kalata Shiboma HTD, Yatenta Budi Salile Nakai, Janesu Abigesu, Saeva Go Kara, the very last word, Kara, animal. Therefore, the comparison is made. This is in Bhagavatam chapter 10, no, Canto 10, chapter 84, text 13, 1084, 13. Yashatma Buddhi Kunape Tiratuke. When Srila Prabhupada is comparing a man to a donkey, he quotes this. A person who thinks that this bag, this physical body, full of mucus, bile, and air, Kapovita Payu, is that person. The person who thinks that he's his body. Is foolish. They don't understand. He's ignorant. A person that thinks that Swadi Kalata Shiboma Ishtidi, that they say that their family is an extension of themselves. Oh, how that happens so many times. Sometimes some parents think that the children are such an extension of themselves that they determine what the children's life should be, even when the children grows up. A child grows up, it becomes an adult, and the parent is still trying to determine how the child should live his life, even when the child is independent. It happens in a lot of families. And the most troublesome one is when the child has become a grown-up and is a devotee, and the parents are not devotees and trying to get them to stay away from Krishna. When staying away from Krishna means that you'll be stuck in the material world. And the ignorant parent doesn't understand that. Say it like it is. The ignorant parent doesn't understand that. And the person that also thinks that his land where they were born, the nation, is worshipable. How can jail be worshipable? How can jail? Where we live in the material world is jail. But the person that doesn't know that, just like the donkey that does not know that this is a contraption in front, hitched to the donkey itself, and when it tries to take a step, it will never get to the grass. And all around them is plenty of grass. In the meantime, this heavy thing is on the body. So another example is given. That sometimes we struggle as human beings for life. The struggle can be ended by going back to Godhead. But it's like we got a heavy load on our back and it's really weighing our back, and the bones in our back are going through such hard time, we're feeling it. But rather than take it down, we call the next person and say, sir, the weight on my back is kind of displaced to one side and it's hurting one side of my back. Can you straighten it and put it center for me? Can you help me just shift the weight a little bit so that it looks like it's so that it is proportion, the weight is proportion to my back. So that's what we ask for. It's going to be a little bit more tolerable. That's what's called material wealth. We can buy all kinds of things, but we cannot buy happiness. That comes internal. So this is the life we live. So the ass is celebrated as the greatest fool. Yateta Buddhi Salile Nakahichit Janeshu Abigeshu Saiva Gokara. The person that goes to, of all places, the best situation, a place of pilgrimage, but just goes with the material mentality, I'm going to Vrindavan, going to bathe in the Jamuna, and then buy a few things, and now I'm done. Without asking to be preached to by those who are there that know the spiritual connection of the river Jamuna to Vrindavan and what we can learn as devotees, devotional life, bhakti, that they don't do. And that person, Saeva Gokara, he is certainly, Eva is certainly, Go is cow or kara, the very animal we're talking about, the ass or donkey. Saeva Gokara. So it's in Bhagavatam, we shouldn't live like that. So what should we do? Well, take to bhakti, devotion to the Supreme Personality of Godhead as priority. Nothing is at the level of bhakti in terms of what should take our time. what we should prioritize. We can, we will, or not we can, but we will go through some changes. It's the way life is here in the jail. We have to tolerate. You can change what you can, but ultimately, to get out of jail, we have to beg the Lord. Follow what the Lord's instructions are through his pure devotee, the representative, the guru, and what has been told by pure devotees to others who have practiced it. We talk about senior devotees, take the same advice from them, associate with them so that they'll keep us straight. Serve the Lord, serve the Lord's devotees. Do not offend. Once the person becomes an offensive person, then their spiritual life, bhakti, is already wilted, but they don't see it. They don't see it, even though it's already wilted. It's only a matter of time that will be obvious. And the devotees usually fall into three categories of offenses. Sometimes some devotees are guilty of all three. Guru aparad, Vaishnava aparad, Seva aparad. Seva aparad, when we're supposed to do service and we take it lightly, all aspects of it taken lightly. And we take it lightly because Maya tells us, it's not so important. Nobody's going to say anything about it. Or sometimes even what we're doing, I mean, it's in the Pujari room, nobody's going to see it. And we buy it. Maya just deceived us, only tested us to see if we want to do the right thing. When we are in front of the deities, we are in front of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That should be our mentality. That should be something we should understand. Without it, then we're looking at some material shape. And that is offensive in itself. When the spiritual master says that I'm going to do this, you don't come up with an excuse. You adjust your life to make that order come true. When he suggests something, it is an order. That should be the mentality. Otherwise, you are in Guru Aparad. When devotees are trying to serve and you put them down, offend them, make them unhappy, that is an offense. A devotee that's senior to you tells you to do stuff and you come up with all kinds of reasons not to do it, that's also Vaishnava Aparad, especially if it's about service. We should not try to involve ourselves in material enjoyment, as His Holiness Chandamali Swami has said. You actually won't find it. It seems like it's enjoyment, but actually it's a waste of time. In the end, an intelligent person would see through that. So everything we do must ultimately return directly or indirectly to satisfy the senses of the Lord. Devotees are not hogs, dogs, camels, and asses. Thanks to the direction given by the Parampara, especially His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Devotees are not dogs, hogs, camels, and asses. And we do not praise people who behave like those animals. Those people will be confused and will stay confused because they don't even know that they're in jail. With jail bodies, we call them physical bodies, that are designed to go through self-destruction with time. Remember that permanence is only in the spiritual world. And that's our real home. Everything here is temporary. So we should aspire to go back to Godhead, go home. And that's where no anxiety is, no kunta, vaikuntha, and happiness is. And for that, we will be permanently happy, permanently knowledgeable, and permanently just eternal. Just go on with our lives in the proper way in which we live life, not life with physical bodies, subtle bodies. They all will be gone. A person's real mind will be the one that is for the spirit, for the soul, and in that way, we'll leave this place. And those dogs, hogs, and camels and asses that are trying to make it here in the material world, and it's never worked, even though history has said it over and over and over again. Hmm? A particular dynasty rises and it goes down. Every one of them that comes up goes down. And the dates are all there in history, but people don't learn. And they try to come up again. I'll be number one. Krishna is number one. Nobody will ever be number one. Shri Prabhupada Ki Jai. So thank you for listening. And now, if there's any comment anybody wants to make, you can unmute yourself and make a comment or ask a question or share a realization as you feel comfortable with. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dandot
Ha-
Pranam, Srila
Hare
Prabhupada.
Krishna. Jai. Go to Prabhupada. Damodar. Hare Krishna. Go ahead.
Mm. I just remembered a point from another class when you talked
Mm,
about people have a lot of plans about their kids. So
mm,
uh, in that class I heard previously, the person works for the stock exchange in Bombay, and
mm,
this is a very senior devotee of Radhanath Swami Maharaj. So he was telling that he met like big industrialists and businessmen, and some of them even had planned for their grandsons, grandchildren, where they will school, where they will study and everything. Some of those people, like, so if you look at the thought, like today, like the world is so dynamic, like every second the situation is changing.
mm-hmm.
Every second the situation changes. The one of the countries is like is changing its policies. Someone is some company is changing policies. Something is happening, like you never know if you will have your job tomorrow. You never know if you are going to get up the, from the bed tomorrow morning.
Yep, nothing is permanent.
Even the like healthy people, they are not able to walk properly in, like, in some time, like, when they
Mm-hmm.
grow older, or where they were
Get
into
diseased.
like
Yeah.
bodybuilding and everything. When they grow old, they're not able to walk properly. Sometimes even when they are doing bodybuilding, they are doing it so much that they get heart attacks, or like, so
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like, that is so. So the world we are living in is so fickle that you don't know what is going to happen next. So all these things are very uh, I mean, like, I don't know what to say, but it's like really uh, what we can say, unpredictable situations. So
Yes.
it's better, like, for us to keep on the path of bhakti
Mm-hmm.
steadily, instead of like thinking a lot about like all these things. Like, if we keep ourselves on the path of bhakti, we will be
Mm-hmm.
less disturbed by what is happening in our lives, like, around. So that was one thing I had realization. I had a question that you were talking about the camel chewing the like thorns.
Thorns. Mm-hmm.
So sometimes it happens to me as well, or in my life, that I'm thinking that, okay, like, my spiritual life is going nicely, and then after some time, maybe a week later or so, I will realize, no, some things that I happened in the past didn't happen well. I didn't do, or I didn't follow the things correctly. I
Mm.
made some mistakes. So, like, how to avoid those kind of things?
First of all, the fact that you even realize that there are mistakes that you need to work on, that already is a step in the right direction. Devotee goes through purification, anatta-nivritti, getting rid of unwanted desires, things that actually sabotage our spiritual life and our spiritual quest. So when, by the Lord's mercy, those mistakes are revealed to us, it is for us to be aware of it so that we don't fall into that same problem anymore. It is, so the point is, let's put it this way. How can one go through purification if they don't know what the faults are? The purification process is getting rid of faults, but you cannot get rid of faults if you don't know what the faults are in the first place. So when those things happen, where sometimes you realize some things could have been done differently to be better, that is also the mercy of the Lord hinting to us that he knows that we want to be good devotees, but there's this to work on, there's that to work on, there's this to work on, and therefore they get exposed so that we will try to overcome them. Now, how? Sometimes the intelligence is enough intelligence to, and instructions there to know what to do. So when we listen, we gain that knowledge. And when we ask questions, we gain what to do. Now, if you still don't know what to do to get over it, then it's time to ask somebody who is senior, who has been doing this 30, 40 years. They've realized so many things and they have been involved in so many other incidences happening to other devotees and themselves also, to be able to give practical advice on how to deal with a situation. That's why we were talking yesterday in class yesterday, the importance of associating with devotees, but especially those who've had a long time in the process. That's the reason why even when it comes to people, companies advertising for a position of responsibility, they do not want a beginner. They want somebody with experience because they know that what to do is one thing, and the things that become challenges, how to go about those will come from somebody, a leader who's had the experience. That's why they look for that. And similarly, in devotional life, we can associate and must associate with everybody only because they remind us of Krishna, so that's good. But to be fixed up, you need a coach. And the coach is the person who has been around a long time, and from their own behavior, how they deal with Krishna consciousness, you can build trust with them. You can choose whoever you want to be with. And as the Nectar of Instruction says, reveal your mind in confidence. And that question comes up, well, how do I know that if I reveal my mind, this person is not going to go tell other people and so on? There's a very simple test. You can talk to the person that you want to trust, but not sure yet, about something in confidence, but not something that would give you chills or give you a lot of problems if it ever came out. So you can start that kind of test. Put that out. And if you never hear from anybody else that this happened, this happened, this happened, this happened, because people talk to other people and through gossip, it just comes right back. So sometimes we even hear about things, especially those in management, because people never agree with everything that management comes about, but that's the nature of life. People not understanding that the management is also part of hierarchy. The GBCs are there, and there's instruction that's been given from above, and they have to follow it. And sometimes the people in the temple don't realize why the manager is doing the way he or she is doing what he's doing. Therefore, there's disagreement. But the important thing is the basic way of living devotee life. That is already explained. No matter what we think is going on, we should never come up with some kind of conclusion. I think this is that without consulting to get the right information or the right message. And the other thing about it is, and the smartest thing about it is, I don't understand. And why you think that this is just a moot or a very, very unimportant statement? When you tell the mind you don't understand, then it cuts you off from being a gossiper. Because a person that doesn't understand has to inquire and get it explained. Krishna himself said it, Tat Vidi Panipatena Paripashnena Sevaya. Approach Guru and ask a question. Inquire in a submissive mood and also serve the Guru. Hmm? So once we say, I don't understand, that is actually quite safe. Rather than think, I think this is going on, that's going on, and then you make statements that are not true, or you find out it's not true, and you tell other people, and then you begin now to give a bad name to a person that's working very hard for the temple. And in the end, what happens? Vaishnava Parad. That is also Vaishnava Parad. To say something you don't know about the truth, and then it becomes later on this gossip and falsehood, you committed aparad. And aparad means you're not going home. It doesn't matter how many rounds you chant, trying to obey the four regulative principles. Aparad means you're not going home, not that lifetime. So then you have to apologize to the person that that's been offended, and you also have to serve that person in order to get out of that situation. Apologize and serve. Hmm? The best thing is don't put yourself in a situation of aparad. If you tell lies, that's already aparad. And the Lord in the heart already knows what you're doing. Why tell lies? Come up with all kinds of excuses. Then the Lord is guiding those who are also in authority like that in what to do. Hmm? So we have to be very careful. Sometimes if we just play with Krishna consciousness, we're going to wind up in a space that we never thought we would get into. But it would just be dumped on us. Next thing we know, it's a very different life. Very, very, very different life. And you wonder what happened. It's our own aparat that got us there. So we have to be careful. And my Guru Maharaj tells me, this is the final statement to make, that advanced devotees, those who are fixed up, there's one thing about them. They are very careful not to commit offenses of any kind. Guru aparad, disobeying the orders of the spiritual master. Vaishnava aparad, upsetting people deliberately, especially those who are junior to us, upsetting them deliberately because we think we can get away with it. And seva aparad, including not showing up on time to do the work that needs to be done. Or worse, not coming and not even telling anybody about it. Or you've been told how to get a replacement person to do service and you don't care about that. You want to do it your own way. Well, anybody that wants to do anything their own way, how come they can call themselves Das and Dasis? Servant does things their own way, or servant does things based on the master. This is common sense. What does a servant do? So we have to be careful because Maya tests us in all of these things and they come out one thing after another, just like you were asking about. I wasn't doing this right, wasn't doing a person that takes stock of what's going on in their life with a view of fixing what is wrong is a person that's going to ultimately improve and become a pure devotee. Because when you get rid of the anathas, you will be cleaned up. Cleanliness means purity. And purity is not for some people, it's for everybody. Although there are two classes of people, those who came from the spiritual world, they never attached to material world, they're here for a reason, and they stay pure. Even not in that situation, Maya simply tempts them. But they are very fixed, and they don't fall into the traps of Maya. And then the other categories are conditioned souls trying to get purified. But anathas has to come out. The unwanted desires to come out. Then we clean up, then we become better devotees. So the cleaning up process is a good process. We identify the mistakes, then we fix them. Or get help on how to fix them if we don't know how to do it. Then we'll grow. Thank you very much for asking the question. Hare Krishna. Any other? questions or realizations, please unmute yourself if you feel so inclined to speak. If not, then thank you very much for allowing for this service to come. We're not dogs, hogs, camels, and asses. We are those who are chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. And that takes us back home, back to Godhead, for eternal life of knowledge and bliss. Shri Prabhupada ki jai, Vaishnav Thakur ki jai. Gaura Premanande, Hari 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 Bo. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Mini Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Jai.